Ladies and gentlemen, life doesn't wait for anyone. It doesn't care about your mood, your excuses, or how tired you feel. If you want to win in life, you have to force yourself to organize it. And I mean really force yourself. You can't keep hoping things will fall into place. You've got to take control. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about something we all struggle with, and that is the idea of taking control of your life. Too many people sit around waiting for things to happen, hoping that luck or timing will work in their favor. They blame circumstances, blame other people, blame the economy, blame the traffic, blame everything except themselves. But here's the truth: life doesn't hand out opportunities to those who wait. Life hands opportunities to take control to those who force themselves to act. Even when the odds don't look good, you cannot sit on the sidelines expecting someone else to organize your life for you. Nobody else is responsible for your success. You are. Now, I know it's easy to say, take control. But the reality is harder. Taking control means making decisions when it's uncomfortable. It means stepping out of your comfort zone, even when fear is trying to whisper in your ear. It means looking at your current situation honestly and not sugarcoating it. And when you do that, you realize that a lot of the problems you complain about were created by inaction. Waiting, procrastinating, it all leads to life that feels chaotic and out of control. But when you start taking responsibility for your actions, when you start making intentional choices, that's when things change. You start to see the patterns. You start to see the doors that are actually open to you. Taking control is also about being proactive. You can't just react to life. Reacting means you're always behind, always trying to catch up. But when you are proactive, you are setting your own pace. You decide where you want to go, and then you move toward it step by step. It's about being deliberate with your time, your energy, and your focus. It's about recognizing that every choice you make, no matter how small, has consequences. You might not see the results immediately, but trust me, over time, those choices add up. And here's something crucial: taking control doesn't mean you'll have it all figured out. Nobody does. It means you commit to steering the ship, even when the waters are rough, even when the storm hits, even when you feel like giving up. Life is messy. Life is unpredictable. But if you let fear and hesitation run the show, you will be carried wherever the current takes you. If you force yourself to act, to organize your life, to take control of your decisions, when you start building momentum. That is when you start turning chaos into order, dreams into reality, and hope into results. Ladies and gentlemen, waiting for life to hand you the perfect moment is a trap. Taking control is not a choice. It is a necessity. It is the difference between living on autopilot and living intentionally. And every single person in this room has the ability to make that decision today. The only thing standing between you and a life you love is your willingness to step up, to take control, and to refuse to let circumstances dictate your future. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest challenges people face today is knowing what to focus on. We live in a world full of noise, distractions coming from every direction, pulling your attention away from the things that actually move your life forward. And the truth is, most people are busy, but they're busy doing all the wrong things. They wake up, rush through the day, handle a bunch of small fires, react to whatever pops up, and by the time the day ends, they feel exhausted but empty. That happens because they haven't prioritized what really matters. When you're just reacting to life, you never get around to the things that actually build your future. You never get around to your goals, your growth, your purpose. You simply survive instead of progress. Prioritizing what matters means you must get honest with yourself about what you truly want. Not what other people want for you. Not what society expects from you. Not what feels easy in the moment, but what you genuinely want your life to look like. When you identify that, your focus becomes stronger. And when your focus becomes stronger, your life becomes simpler. You stop chasing every little thing that shows up. You stop wasting energy on situations that don't deserve your attention. You stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes only to the things that align with your goals. But to do that, you have to first sit down and identify your goals clearly. Vague goals lead to vague results. If your goal is simply be successful, that's not a goal, that's a wish. You have to define what success means to you. Maybe it means in a business, improving your health, strengthening your relationships, or gaining financial freedom. Once you know what you're aiming for, you can break those goals into steps. This is where prioritizing comes in. When you break your goals down, you start to see what tasks actually matter and which ones are just taking up time. You begin to realize that some things you've been giving your energy to don't deserve it at all. Prioritizing also requires discipline. You must train yourself to focus even when you don't feel like it. Even when distractions are tempting. Even when excuses whisper in your ear. There will always be something easier, more entertaining, or more comfortable than taking steps toward your goals. That's why people settle for business over progress. But if you want a life that's meaningful, you have to learn to delay gratification. You have to learn to choose long-term rewards over short-term comfort. Every goal worth having demands sacrifice. You may have to wake up earlier, work harder, or cut out habits that drain your time. And it will always feel good, but it will always be worth it. And let me tell you something important. When you prioritize the right things, your life becomes aligned. You start feeling more confident, more in control, and more connected to your purpose. You stop feeling lost because you now have direction. You stop feeling overwhelmed because you now have clarity. And each time you choose your goals over your distractions, you reinforce the mindset of a winner. Focusing on what matters transforms you from someone who drifts into someone who drives. And the moment you become the driver of your life, everything changes. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in the same place year after year is because they live life without a real plan. They wake up, go through and handle whatever shows up, and hope life magically gets better. But hope is not a strategy. Wishing is not a plan. A dream without a plan is just a fantasy. And too many people are living in fantasy mode without ever moving to action mode. If you want to change your life, you have to sit down, slow down, and create a plan that guides your steps. You have to map out where you want to go and how you are going to get there. Because the moment you create a plan, you create direction. And the moment you commit to that plan, you create momentum. A plan is not something complicated or overwhelming. It's simply a structured way of organizing your goals into steps you can take consistently. When you plan, you're telling yourself, this is what matters. This is where I'm going. And this is how I'm getting there. Without that clarity, you drift. With that clarity, you advance. And planning doesn't make life rigid. Planning makes life intentional. It gives you control over your time instead of letting your time control you. The truth is, We all have big dreams, but big dreams require structure. You can't build a house with enthusiasm alone. You need a blueprint. You can't lose weight by wishing. You need a nutrition and workout plan. You can't start a business by talking about it. You need steps, deadlines, and commitment. Life rewards action, but action is easiest when you already know exactly what to do next. A clear plan eliminates confusion and replaces it with purpose. But having a plan is only half the battle. The other half, the harder half, is sticking to that plan. Anyone can write down goals. Anyone can make a to-do list. But staying disciplined, staying focused, and staying committed when things get tough is where the real growth happens. Sticking to your plan means you follow through even on the days when you don't feel like it. It means you push yourself when laziness shows up. It means you hold yourself accountable when excuses start creeping in. Because excuses are the killers of progress. And the moment you start feeding excuses, your plan becomes useless. Sticking to your plan also requires patience. People give up too quickly because they expect immediate results. They expect to see life change instantly. But success doesn't work that way. Your plan won't bear fruit on day one, or maybe even week one, but consistency always wins. When you stick to your plan day after day, even when progress feels slow, you're building habits. You're building discipline. You're building kind of mindset that can't be shaken by temporary setbacks. And that mindset is priceless. There will be obstacles. There will be disruptions. Life will test your commitment to the plan you created. But sticking to your plan doesn't mean never adjusting it. It means you stay committed to the goal while being flexible with the steps. If something isn't working, you refine it rather than abandon it. If you get off track, you don't quit. You get back on track the next day. Consistency is not perfection. Consistency is returning to your plan again and again until the results start showing up. And there's something powerful that happens when you begin to see those results. You gain confidence. You gain belief in your ability to follow through. You gain proof that your efforts matter. And that builds momentum. Once momentum kicks in, sticking to your plan becomes easier. Because now you're not just hoping, it's working. Now you're not just dreaming, you're progressing. And the more progress you make, the more motivated you become to keep going. Planning gives you the roadmap. Sticking to the plan gets you to the destination. When you combine the two, you become unstoppable. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most overlooked steps in organizing your life is cleaning up your environment and your mind. People think success starts with big decisions or dramatic changes, but most of the time it begins with something simple, clearing out the clutter that's been slowing you down. Clutter is just about messy rooms or disorganized desks. It's about the mental, emotional, and physical weight that builds up over time and keeps you from moving forward. When your environment is messy, your thoughts become messy. When your thoughts are cluttered, your decisions become scattered. And when your decisions are scattered, your life feels chaotic. That's why cleaning your space and your mind isn't optional. It's necessary. The truth is, your environment silently shapes your behavior every single day. If you wake up in a room full of mess, unfinished tasks, piles of clothes, and scattered items, your mind feels overwhelmed before you even start your day. You may not notice it at first, but that confusion in your surroundings becomes confusion in your decisions. And you carry that energy with you everywhere you go. A clear space creates space for clarity, and clarity creates space for progress. When you take the time to clean up your surroundings. You're not just tidying up. You're sending yourself a message that you're ready for order, for growth, and for discipline. But cleaning your environment also involves removing people who bring clutter into your life. Not every clutter is physical. Some clutter comes in the form of negative voices, draining relationships, and people who distract you from your purpose. Every time you entertain someone who constantly complains, discourages you, or brings chaos, you are allowing mental clutter to take root. You cannot organize your life while carrying people who thrive on disorganization. You cannot build focus while surrounding yourself with those who love confusion. Cleaning your mind means setting boundaries, saying no when you need to, and protecting your peace like it's priceless, because it is. Your mind becomes what you feed it. If you constantly feed it fear, doubt, worry, and stress, that is what will grow. But if you clean out those thoughts, replace them with gratitude, with goals, with focus, with encouragement, your mind becomes a powerful engine pushing you forward. Mental clutter is created by unresolved issues, unfinished tasks, unspoken feelings, and unmade decisions. These things sit in the back of your mind like open tabs on a computer, slowing you down, draining your energy, and overwhelming you. Every time you say, you add another piece of clutter. But when you face things head on, when you resolve problems instead of running from them, when you close the tabs, draining your mental power, suddenly your mind becomes calm, sharp, and ready to focus. Cleaning your space and mind is also a form of self-discipline. It shows world had take responsibility for the little things, and if you can handle the little things, you can handle the big things. People often say, I want a better life, but their environment is a reflection of neglect. Your surroundings are a mirror of your mindset. When you keep things clean, organized, and intentional, you create a foundation for a clearer, more focused version of yourself to emerge. You start showing up with purpose instead of confusion. You start thinking more clearly because your environment supports your clarity. And something incredible happens when you finally declutter. You make room for what you truly want. When your space is full of old things, old memories, old habits, there's no room for growth. When your mind is full of fear, there's no space for new ideas. When your life is full of unnecessary distractions, there's no space for excellence. Removing clutter is not just about cleaning. It's about creating space for your future. It's about letting go of what weighs you down so you can rise higher. When you clean your environment, you reset your mentality. When you clean your mind, you reset your life. And that is where transformation begins. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most powerful tools you have in your life is your time, yet it is also one of the most mismanaged and disrespected. Time is the great equalizer. Every one of us, no matter where we come from, how much money we have, or what we believe, gets the same 24 hours a day. The difference between people who achieve their goals and people who keep repeating the same year over and over is discipline. Discipline with their time and the ability to hold themselves accountable. If you don't control your time will control you. If you don't hold yourself accountable, you will create a life full of excuses instead of results. Discipline starts with understanding that your time is not just minutes on a clock, it's pieces of your life that you can never get back. Every hour wasted is an hour gone forever. People throw time away like it's unlimited, but it isn't. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose opportunities and find new ones. But when you lose time, it is gone for good. That's why successful people protect their time with intensity. They don't give it to anything or anyone that doesn't align with their purpose. They don't allow distractions to run their day. They don't let procrastination steal their progress. They treat their time as treasure because that's exactly what it is. Being disciplined with your time requires you to be intentional with your choices. You have to decide what gets your attention and why. You have to prioritize the tasks that move your life forward instead of drowning yourself in low-value activities that feel busy but achieve nothing. Many people confuse activity with productivity. They think because they're constantly moving, they're actually progressing. But movement without direction is just motion, not growth. True discipline means you commit to the things that matter, even when you don't feel like doing them. It means you set schedules, you follow routines, and you eliminate habits that waste your energy. But discipline is only half of the equation. The other half is accountability, and accountability is where most people fall short. It's easy to make a plan. It's easy to say, I'm going to change. It's easy to dream big. What's not easy is checking yourself every day and asking, did I do what I said I would do? Accountability means you stop blaming circumstances, stop blaming people, stop blaming your upbringing, your job, your environment, or your past. It means you look yourself in the mirror and take ownership of your actions and your results, good or bad. When you start holding yourself accountable, you take back your power. You stop waiting for people to motivate you. You stop expecting someone else to fix your life. You become responsible for your own growth. Holding yourself accountable also means being honest with yourself. You can't build a disciplined life on lies. You can't tell yourself you're trying when you're not. You can't say you're committed when you give up at the first sign of discomfort. Accountability means you confront the truth even when it's ugly. You acknowledge your weaknesses so you can work on them. You acknowledge your mistakes so you can correct them. When you deny the truth, you stay stuck. When you face it, you move forward. There will always be temptations to waste time. There will always be distractions waiting to pull you away from your goals. There will always be excuses that sound convincing in the moment. But discipline is choosing your future over your comfort. Accountability is checking yourself when those excuses show up and reminding yourself why you started. You cannot build the life you want with the habits you hate. You cannot reach your goals with the routines that work against them. Something powerful happens when you combine discipline with accountability. You become consistent, you become dependable, you become the kind of person who follows through. And every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. When you trust yourself, your confidence grows. When your confidence grows, your actions grow. And when your actions grow, your life changes. Discipline turns time into progress. Accountability turns progress into transformation. And when you control your time starts working for you instead of against you. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the parts of organizing your life and staying committed to your goals is learning how to celebrate your wins, even the small ones. Too many people move through life without acknowledging their progress. They wait until they reach the big finish line before they allow themselves to feel proud. They wait until the dream fully manifests before they clap for themselves. What they don't realize is that progress is built on hundreds, sometimes thousands, of small victories. And when you fail to recognize those victories, you drain the motivation that keeps you moving toward the larger goals. Celebrating your wins is not about bragging or pretending you've reached the mountaintop. It's about recognizing the fact that you're climbing. It's about understanding that every step forward, no matter how small, is a step away from who you used to be and a step closer to who you want to become. People often